I hope one day you will find some people in love who can use this, for it kept me thinking of you all these years, and I hope by returning it to you, I can finally be free.
For years, I thought that this line was just Rockstar's way of twisting the knife one final time, and one last reminder that Arthur Morgan and Mary Linton were simply never meant to be. They were simply a sad story about two people who loved each other, but were always separated by the life Arthur chose to live. And honestly, that's probably how most people see this. A tragic ending with a heartbreaking goodbye and a relationship that never got the chance it deserved. But recently, I've started looking at that scene a little bit differently, because the more we kind of learn about GTA 6, the more those 4 words start sounding less like a goodbye and more like an actual promise made by Rockstar themselves. Now, before you all start typing "Silly has finally lost his mind" in the comments, no, I don't think that Arthur Morgan is secretly Jason or that Mary got reincarnated into Lucia, and certainly I don't think that Dutch Vanderlyn somehow got reborn and is now a crypto guru promoting an app called The Plan, although admittedly that last one certainly sounds believable.
I had a goddamn plan!
You see, what I think is that Rockstar created Arthur and Mary as a way to test out how a potential love story would work inside of their open world crime drama, and when they saw how many people actually liked the dynamics between them, they decided to go fully with it for GTA 6. Now, we know that Arthur and Mary weren't separated by a lack of love. On the contrary, their lives were separated by the unstable world around them. On one hand, Arthur wanted one life with Mary, while the gang, which he considered family, demanded another one from him, and every single time that he got close to escaping that kind of a life, something pulled him right back in.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Now let's fast forward over 100 years into the future to a man named Jason and a woman named Lucia, whose relationship seemingly is destined to be tested by crime, loyalty, betrayal, and everything that comes along with that kind of a life. At first, I didn't really pay much attention to it, but after rewatching the 2 trailers and seeing how much focus is actually put on the dynamic of the 2 protagonists, I think that Rockstar might actually be giving an homage to Arthur and Mary by retelling their story inside of GTA 6. Hi, I'm Silly, your future go-to giveaway channel for GTA 6, and without further ado, let's get straight into the video, shall we? Before we do though, please make sure to hit that like button and consider becoming a member of the channel, as that will help me out greatly in giving back to this beautiful community. A big shout out goes to our returning member of the channel, Victor Vallejo. Thank you so much for your continued support. Now, to understand why I think Rockstar might be revisiting this kind of a story, we first have to go all the way back to the beginning. Long before Arthur Morgan became the man that we all know in RDR2, he was just a young outlaw who fell in love with a woman named Mary Linton. And despite what a lot of people remember about their relationship, it actually wasn't as complicated as people make it out to be. The problem wasn't that they didn't love each other, the problem was everything surrounding them. Now, what's interesting about this is that Rockstar doesn't tell Arthur and Mary's story all at once. Instead, they sprinkle it throughout the game from chapter to chapter, with a letter here, a mission there, and a few conversations that only last a few minutes. And somehow, those few interactions ended up becoming some of the most emotional moments in the entire game. You see, every single time Mary appears in the game, she represents something Arthur can never quite reach, which is normality. She represents the life Arthur could have had if he had walked away years earlier from the life he was living, and I genuinely think that's some of the biggest reasons why that final goodbye hits as hard as it does, because for just a brief moment, Rockstar makes you believe that there's still hope for Arthur and Mary. They make you believe that maybe this time Arthur will finally choose her. Now, if this was a Ubisoft title, or if it was made by Naughty Dog, Arthur would realize that Dutch was the one that he was looking for all along, and they would escape together to Tahiti to grow mangoes, all while touching willies.
What?
Now, I understand that at this point you're probably sitting there thinking, Silly, this is all great, but what does any of this actually have to do with GTA 6? Well, if you compare Arthur and Mary's relationship to everything Rockstar has officially shown us about Jason Lucia, you will see things that I generally don't think are there by accident. Now, the first thing most people immediately point out is the way they actually look. Recently, I came across a Reddit post comparing Arthur and Mary to Jason Lucia, and I can't lie, once you see it, it's kind of hard to unsee. On one side, you have Jason with the rugged look, the longer hair, the stubble, and the more reserved personality, standing next to Lucia, who's confident, expressive, and very clearly isn't afraid to tell Jason exactly what's on her mind. Now, am I saying that Rockstar intentionally made them look identical? No, as that would be a bit of a stretch, but I do think it's interesting that the overall dynamic feels strangely familiar. Not because they share the same faces obviously, but because they seem to share the same roles that Arthur and Mary had in RDR2, with one person desperately trying to hold on to a future and the other one constantly being pulled back into a life that refuses to let go. And if that sounds familiar, it's because we've already lived through that story once before, except this time Rockstar appears to be changing one very important detail. You see, unlike Arthur and Mary, Jason and Lucia are already in that life together. Arthur spent most of Red Dead Redemption 2 trying to leave crime behind so that he could be with Mary. On the other hand, Jason and Lucia are seemingly trying to survive the criminal lifestyle while staying together. That completely changes the dynamic, and instead of asking will they ever get together as we did for Arthur and Mary, Rockstar seems to be asking the question of can they actually stay together. And believe it or not, I think that Rockstar told us exactly what this game was about nearly 2 years ago through a song that many old heads probably know very well. You see, out of every song they could have chosen to introduce GTA 6 to us, they picked Love Is a Long Road by Tom Petty, a song that on the surface sounds like a great Tom Petty song that just fits the Florida vibe, but if you actually stop and listen to what it's talking about, it's almost like it was written specifically for Jason and Lucia. Now, Arthur and Mary might have loved each other and they might have been able to make things work, but they simply ran out of time, while Jason and Lucia haven't, at least not yet, which brings me back to those 4 words. Maybe in another life. Maybe they weren't talking about reincarnation here, and maybe Rockstar wasn't either. Maybe another life was never meant to be in another universe. Maybe it was just another story. Another chance to ask the same question of can 2 people truly love each other when the world around them keeps demanding they become somebody else? Unfortunately for Arthur and Mary, they never got the answer to that question, but Jason and Lucia will, and whether they ride off into the sunset together or end up saying goodbye just like Arthur and Mary did, I genuinely believe that Rockstar has built a story that will not only pay homage to Arthur and Mary, but will show everyone in the gaming industry how a love story can be told even when the core premise of the game is stealing cars. Because if there's one thing that Rockstar has always understood really well, it's that the greatest stories were never really about outlaws or gangsters or shootouts that end in tragedy. Arthur wanted a future with Mary, John wanted a normal life with Abigail, Nico wanted to escape the past that followed him across an ocean, and now Jason and Lucia are looking to be the next chapter in that same story. But Rockstar always knew that their games have been about people trying to find a place where they actually belong, even if that place only exists in another life.
It wasn't that I didn't love you, Arthur. You know that.
Anyways, what do you guys think? Will Jason and Lucia have a happy ending here? Will their story be the spiritual successor to Arthur and Mary's story from RDR2? Or will Rockstar surprise us by having this story be something entirely else? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for taking time to watch this video, and a big thank you to all the 2,200 people that ended up subscribing. You folks are the best. If you guys haven't already, please make sure to hit that like button and of course subscribe so that good luck follows you on your future adventures. Stay silly, keep badging, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.